Hello all, I am Olivia Sa. I am a senior researcher at the IOTA Foundation, and today I'm excited to provide you with a high-level overview of our incentives and tokenomics scheme. Since we have already shared some information on this topic, those eager for a deeper dive can always explore our wiki pages. For the enthusiasts looking for an even more detailed explanation, you can check our incentives white paper. Now, before explaining how our solution works, I would like to explain exactly what is the problem that we are trying to solve, which is having an efficient and secure DLT that is also feeless for the token holders. Now, let's explore some key design particularities of IOTA 2.0. What I will shed light here is that a common way of thinking about DLTs is that they are just a data structure, which is typically a blockchain, but in reality, DLTs typically consist, among other things, of a mempool, the component that users will directly interact with, and the blockchain itself. Now, if users interact just with the mempool, how do transactions find their way into the data structure? This is where miners or validators come into play. They select transactions from the mempool and incorporate them into blocks. However, there is clearly a bottleneck somehow in this block creation process, as miners or validators face limitations in adding transactions to the blockchain. On the flip side, the interaction between users and the mempool doesn't face a clear bottleneck. So how is this balance achieved? The answer lies in the fact that validators must prioritize transactions from the mempool in a systematic way, and this is where fees become essential. Traditional DLTs need fees because users don't engage directly with the data structure. Now, allow me to introduce a distinctive feature of IOTA 2.0, the shift from miners or validators as writers to users themselves. In IOTA 2.0, users have the unique capability to write directly into the Tangle. In our system, users write directly into the Tangle, and validators have the role of simply assigning weights to the blocks issued by the users. In theory, we did not have to use validators for that, but we do this to achieve faster finality times in IOTA 2.0. One might question whether this is just a convoluted way to reach the same outcome. I would argue otherwise, primarily for one crucial reason. The unique structure of the Tangle makes it impossible for a validator to engage in censorship or attempt to favor a specific segment of the Tangle on even individual transactions. It might sound a little bit like magic, but the key lies in an essential missing element in the system. It's important to note that the system that I'm describing operates without any bottlenecks, and this is where mana comes to play. However, to maintain a robust anti-spam mechanism, we find it essential to impose a limit on the number of blocks users can issue. For that reason, we introduce mana, our secondary asset designed specifically as an anti-spam mechanism in the block creation process. In practice, every time a user issues a block, a corresponding amount of mana is burned. But where does this mana come from? Every IOTA token generates a certain amount of mana per time, so every user will gain mana with time that can be spent to issue blocks. We sometimes use a farming analogy where the IOTA tokens are like the land someone can own to grow trees. The more land you have, the more trees you can grow. The more trees you grow, the more fruits you can harvest. In this analogy, mana will be like the collected fruits. So we can have fast acceptance and confirmation of blocks. Even though being online and validating is a cheap activity, it's clearly more resource consuming than not doing it. So how do we incentivize these validators to be online and validating blocks? The answer is, we give them more mana. An interesting feature of our protocol is that delegation is liquid, which means that even if you delegate, your tokens are free to be moved and spent. To be a delegator, you just need to choose a validator that you trust and performs well. In turn, to be a validator, you need to lock tokens and perform the validation services. Since validation is more consuming and less flexible than just delegating, validators are given more rewards than delegators. The exact values of rewards distributed to validators and delegators will depend on the state of the system, but by design, we guarantee the 1-2-3 rule. Suppose someone has a certain number of IOTA tokens, and by just holding these IOTA tokens, they will get 1 mana per day. If this person delegated to a well-performing validator instead, the person will get at least 2 mana. The same way, if this person, instead of holding or delegating, was a validator himself, they will get at least 3 mana. Let's start with the top right of this diagram. Utility is the demand driver for block creation. In turn, block creation requires mana. Mana is always generated by token holders, delegators, and validators, but in all these cases, it requires IOTA tokens. This makes the IOTA token an asset with more intrinsic value. Now, more valuable assets increase the security of the system. Finally, we consider security as the ultimate utility of a DLT, ensuring a fixed token supply and preventing wealth concentration. Buying rewards direct to the system's utility also encourages sustained long-term engagement from early adopters. This was a really short presentation, but I hope we managed to inform you and motivate you to look for more details about our system. Thank you for listening to me, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us and participate in the community discussions.